I think the biggest surprise to come out of this movie for me personally is that someone in the film industry finally found something worthwhile for Jai Courtney to do. After Hollywood seemingly tried to make him a thing for years by forcing him down our throat, he has now found his calling in the most unlikely of places. And you know what? I'm here for it. Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to.
Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
Dangerous Animals follows a shark-obsessed serial killer who holds a rebellious surfer captive on his boat. Racing against time, she must figure out a way to escape before he carries out a ritualistic feeding to the sharks below. I just want to start this off by saying I am an absolute sucker for shark movies. They're a guilty pleasure of mine, and I can always find some level of enjoyment in them whenever I watch them. And while this isn't your typical shark movie in the way that this film is structured, the whole concept of smashing together a shark movie and a serial killer movie might actually sound ridiculous on paper, and it is. But for me, it was a match made in horror heaven, and I had an absolute blast while watching it. This movie puts a spin on both of those subgenres in a way that I've never seen before, and that's always going to earn that film brownie points. I went into this movie not really knowing much about it. I don't even think I watched a trailer, which is increasingly becoming the best possible strategy if you actually want to enjoy movies.
That makes sense.
So the movie begins with what would normally be a pretty standard setup for a shark attack movie. And then the film quickly takes a sharp left-hand turn into what the f***ville. And from that moment on, I was invested in what was going to happen next. Continuing with a recent trend that I've noticed in modern horror that I am 100% on board with, this movie also takes its time when it comes to giving our lead, our final girl, the appropriate amount of setup time early in the film. It wasn't a lot, but it doesn't really have to be. It will, in effect, however, make you actually care when she is put in danger later. I know I sound like a broken record when I mention this in a lot of reviews, but I cannot stress just how important it is. Her setup involves setting up a one-night stand relationship with someone she meets while caravanning through Australia. Not a terribly original setup, but it does give the characters enough time to be able to reveal things about themselves, personal things, that I think will help them resonate with the audience better.
I like it a lot.
At one point, I thought they were going full Heart Eyes and trying to turn it into part romantic comedy, part horror. But the relationship stuff isn't quite as predominant this time around. The lead was played by Hassie Harrison, who was believable enough in the role of a loner trying to escape her previous life and creating a new life for herself in a new country. I did think that she hammed it up just a little bit in her performance in some spots, but you could also say that is appropriate for a movie like this. At the same time, they do put her through the ringer, and I really started to buy into her never give up attitude that the film was trying to sell me. And she's not bad to look at on top of that, so that's always a bonus.
She got a great ass!
And then we have Jai Courtney, who plays a charming yet sadistic shark enthusiast, who takes his love of the predatory nature of the ocean to inhumane levels. Imagine one of those Shark Week experts who just so happens to have a ton of random shark facts stored in their head. Only this guy happens to be bat insane as well. To my knowledge, Jai Courtney has never really played a character like this, and it just so happens that it might actually be his best role ever. He is one of those antagonists that commands your attention every single time he's on screen. I mean, he's brutal, he's ruthless, he's physically imposing, and yet somehow he's charming and likable at the same time. I do believe that this is one of the more unique gimmicks that I've seen attached to a serial killer in a movie in a very long time. As far as the more horror elements, I'm happy to report that it's more about tension, build-up, and what you don't see than a bunch of mindless gore. They could have just had sharks ripping people apart left and right, But they chose to do it in a much more subtle way. I actually felt like they took a more realistic approach to the shark attacks, which I appreciated because I think it's a lot more effective.
Because it's all part of the plan.
There is something that's always going to be terrifying about the idea of being fed to a shark, or fed to any animal for that matter, and in this movie it's all for one person's sick amusement. The ocean is already a terrifying place, no doubt, but to make you feel just as terrified on the boat, in the presence of pure evil, it truly goes out of its way to give you the feeling that the people involved aren't safe anywhere. There's also more than a couple fake outs in this movie that were very effective. You know those moments where it feels like the hero is going to escape, only to be pulled back in time and time again. It's demoralizing, honestly, but it's also very entertaining to watch.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
My biggest gripe with this movie is the resolution, or more, how the resolution came to be. It just felt a little bit too convenient, a little bit too easy, which is kind of strange to say when you consider all of the things that these characters are put through. Some of the dialogue, particularly in the closing moments of the film, was exceptionally cheesy. And again, it does fit the movie to a degree, but there does become a moment where it did get a little bit too hokey for me. I was also expecting a little bit more out of that final resolution. Don't get me wrong, still satisfying, but I thought that they could execute it just a little bit better. On a side note, I also really enjoyed this movie's use of music. I think this is the second horror film this year that has used Baby Shark in some capacity. I don't know how I feel about that, but it was definitely appropriate for a movie like this. In the end, I enjoyed Dangerous Animals a lot. It's fun. It's great to look at. It's got characters that are very easy to pull for and characters that are very easy to root against. It is very simplistic in that way. I really enjoyed the way that it mashed two of my favorite genres together. It was a flawed but highly entertaining experience, and that's exactly why I'm going to give it the Cathouse.
Saved by kitty litter.
Y'all be cool. Right on.